Welcome to my shop. I have only the finest brews for sale. What would you... Sorry. As I was saying, today we're talking about the basics of D&D Homebrew. Experienced Dungeons & Dragons players talk about homebrew all the time. It can be hard for beginners to understand. So, what exactly is homebrew, and what exactly does homebrew in D&D 5e look like? Homebrew is often defined as any content within a Dungeons & Dragons game that cannot be found in an official rulebook. Official rulebooks are any books released by the Wizards of the Coast and include, but are not limited to, the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Monster Manual, Xanthar's Guide to Everything, and Volo's Guide to Monsters. If WotC made something, it's official. If they didn't, it's homebrew. It's important to note that Unearthed Arcana, UA, is unofficial test or experimental content written by wizards but not yet formally published in an official sourcebook. It may even never be published, such is the case with UA. UA stands between homebrew and official content and is about as official as non-official stuff gets. Use others' content first. You're excited to get your homebrew content out there. It makes sense. Without a lot of experience, though, it can be difficult to understand what makes good homebrew content. It's important to understand the basics of comparative power. If you take an item, you want to balance it. Don't make it so overpowered that your game no longer has any challenges. Similarly, you don't want to make a monster that can kill your players in one round, or vice versa. As a newer player, you might not know how to do this yet. By looking at these charts, you can get a good idea of the damage and DCs you should be throwing at your brews. There's a lot of amazing content already out there. You can find great content at DM's Guild and Unearthed Arcana. Some DMs and players also enjoy using random generators. By using others' content first, you will begin to understand what makes good homebrew content and what does not. Start small. Change just one thing about an official item or monster, and you will have made your first piece of homebrew content. Hooray! If you introduce a special healing potion, for example, you might just change one of the dice that is used to heal, or you might make it specific to just one kind of healing. For monsters, you can change something a monster is resistant or vulnerable to. This can help better to ingrain in a setting of yours. You can take any animal, like a bear for example, and make it ideal for dungeon crawls or graveyards by making it undead. Merge the stats with a zombie, or make it vulnerable to radiant damage, and instantly you'll find yourself with a terrifyingly awesome homebrewed monster. Starting small also means starting with less important items. A small magical ring is less likely to cause problems in the game overall than a player using an untested homebrew class for the entire game. When in doubt, steal. When making your creations, it's a very good idea to know what official content the game has to offer. More times than I can remember, I have looked to official content to help me build out a race feature, class ability, or item property. This can be as simple as finding a feature that mimics the one you want to create and change the wording, damage type or dice, etc. to create a completely new feature. For example, when creating a poison-themed subclass, I wanted to make it feel like you were poisoned to touch. I knew the Grung race had a poisonous skin feature, and I stole that and repurposed it. I added some damage and made it temporary, and bada bing, bada boom, we have a new feature. This is a great tool to help you get started with homebrew, but it remains important throughout your entire homebrew career. Whenever you create something on your own, be it a subclass, item, or anything else, it can help to get feedback from others. After creating your homebrewed content, share it with some trusted friends and D&D players for feedback. To get the best feedback possible, ask specific questions about what you want to know. Are you wondering if a monster would overpower your current party? Are you wondering how much your magical item should cost and who it would be ideal for? The more specific your questions, the better feedback you'll receive. Homebrew content can add a lot of fun and flavor to your D&D game. As you become much more experienced, you will want new challenges and to try new things. When you have a bit of feedback, you can start to make some revisions. Your creation may need lots of revisions. Lots and lots of them. If you are able to, you may want to run a short game using the creations or work them into a game you have running. This allows you to see how they behave in a real playing environment. Granted, this is not always doable as you may not have those willing to play with you and test those creations. What not to do. Wizards of the Coast set forth a few simple guidelines to never break when creating homebrew, And this is a very, very big rule. Do not break the action economy. Every creature gets an action, bonus action, and reaction on their turn. Rarely should these rules be broken, because if they are, then this can throw combat damage, actions, and many other things way out of whack. Granted, it is broken in some cases, as with the fighter's action surge and with the haste spell. So, while these rules are very, very important to keep in mind, it's not always that you have to adhere. I would just greatly advise it when you're starting out. If all of this is super overwhelming to you, don't worry. There's plenty of content to enjoy in the official rulebooks. Just know that whenever you're ready to branch out and try something new, Homebrew will be there for you. And if you're ready, don't hold back. Make something silly and show it to your friends. You could even send it to me at rubberduckyanimations@gmail.com, link in the description, and I will give you my feedback. Anyway, this has been the Brewer's Cauldron. Till next time.